We were four guys that I met Paul and said, do you want to join my band, you know? And then George joined, and then Ringo joined. We were just a band who made it very, very big, that's all.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do will make me feel alright.
The Beatles are probably the greatest rock band in history.
Do you think the Beatles are out of style?
Never. They'll never go out of style.
Sergeant Pepper's lonely, Sergeant Pepper's lonely, Sergeant Pepper's lonely hearts club band.
How long do you think the Beatles are going to last?
Well, I wish they'd last forever. They could bring happiness to everybody.
You're going over to the States early in the new year, and you're going to top the bill on the Ed Sullivan Coast to Coast show. John, so far, all British pop stars have not made a tremendous impact on the States. How do you think you're going to fare?
Well, I can't really say, can I? I mean, is it up to me? No. I mean, I just hope we go all right, you know.
Are you going to vary your act at all for the American audience?
No, I mean, we haven't really got an act, so we'll just do what we do.
You're going to twice be entertained by them. Right now, and again in the second half of our show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles!
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that something. I wanna hold your hand, I wanna hold your hand.
I'll never forget the first time I became a Beatles fan. I was in the 4th grade, and my friend Jeffrey Stoddart had come into class this one particular day, and he had a CD with him of Abbey Road. And he showed me this cover, and he said, "Do you know who this is?" And I looked at the cover, and I said, "No, I have no idea." And he said, "This is the Beatles." And I said, "Oh, yeah, you know, my dad just bought that documentary about them or something. He's been watching it all week." I went home later that day after school, and I put the Beatles Anthology DVD. I took one of the DVDs and I put it in, and I watched a little bit of it. And I heard the songs, and I was just hooked.
What do you think of the comment that you're nothing but a bunch of British Elvis Presley?
Oh, it's not true, it's not true.
I can't recall what the first album I ever got was. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it would be Beatles for Sale, because that had No Reply on it. And that was a song, I could listen to that song over and over again. That was one of my favorite songs. I just loved the way the music went and how John sang it.
This happened once before, when I came to your door, no reply. They said it wasn't you, but I saw you peep through your window.
So after Jeffrey and I became friends, I would go over to his house, and his dad had all the Beatles CDs, because he had this huge cabinet where he kept all his classic rock albums on CD, and they were listed in alphabetical order, so the Beatles were on the top shelf. And he would pull out one of the CDs, and I remember he was a little bit against it at first, because he didn't want anyone borrowing them. But I asked Jeff, I said, "Jeffrey, you know, is it all right if I borrow one of your dad's Beatles CDs just so I can listen to it? Because I really, really like the music." And that's what we did, because until I went out and bought the albums, he would lend me his dad's Beatles CDs to listen to.
Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Oh, love me do. Yeah, love me do. Oh, love me do.
The Beatles had gone through 5 albums at this point. They went through Please Please Me, With the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, and Help. So when they did Rubber Soul, that's, I think, the album when they started to say, let's change the way we write songs. You know, let's do something different. Let's not do what we've been doing. Let's change this.
They were becoming more and more productive, and the work they were giving me was much more interesting.
We can branch out a little bit into songs that are a little bit more surreal, a little bit more entertaining.
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. And maybe I love you. Beep, 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 yeah. If I needed someone to love, you're the one that I'd be thinking of. If I needed someone, if I had summer plans for nobody, making all his nowhere plans for nobody.
I don't see too much difference myself in Rubber Soul and Revolver. To me, they could both be like Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Then the touring stopped.
They really wanted to lead something of a normal life.
It doesn't matter about people not liking our records or not liking the way we look or what we say. You know, they're entitled to not like us, and we're entitled not to have anything to do with them if we don't want to, or not to regard them. You know, we've all got our rights, you know.
I remember we all used to run in the back of these big vans they'd hired. And this one was like a silver-lined van, a chromium, nothing in it, like a furniture van, like with nothing in it, just chrome. And we were all piled into this after this really miserable gig. And I said, right, that's it.
Just the general Beatlemania was, you know, it took its toll.
I remember getting Magical Mystery Tour at Borders, I believe it was. And I bought it, and I remember listening to it and trying to memorize the lyrics to I Am the Walrus. And I remember listening to it on my CD player in the living room, and I had the little CD jacket, and I'm trying to read the lyrics to try to get it down, because I really liked the way John sang that song. His voice sounded a little bit different on that. That was the first time I think my sister came into the room, and she told me, she said to me, Andrew, this song doesn't make any sense. The lyrics don't make any sense. And I said to her, you know what? The lyrics don't have to make sense, because it's the Beatles. It doesn't matter. It's John Lennon singing, and it's a good song. It doesn't have to mean what you think it means. It can mean whatever you want it to mean.
I am the walrus, Mr. City Policeman sitting pretty little policeman in a row.
Now I have a lyric book here that I got for Christmas. I still have it with me to this day. And here it is. This is a book. This is the Beatles in cartoon from the movie Yellow Submarine. And in it, it has a very graphic, I must say, even for a 10-year-old, I'm a little shocked that my parents gave me this. There's a lot of graphic art in this book. But it's a lyric book. It has all the songs, all the lyrics to every song, and it has illustrations with it. A lot of the artwork is very, very bizarre. But It is interesting. When I first got the White Album, I was not aware of what they were doing at that time, which was all the weird backwards music and sounds on what they could do with a song. So I went into this record not knowing what was really on it.
What do you do when you've got all them songs and you want to get rid of them so you can do more songs? You know, there was a lot of ego in that band, and there was a lot of songs that should have just maybe been elbowed or made into B-sides.
Revolution 9 isn't really a song, in my opinion. It's a bunch of, it's not really a song at all. It's a bunch of loops and sounds and sound effects. John Lennon wanted to put this track on because of the song Revolution 1. He wanted a lot of sounds in this track. Basically his perception of what a revolution would sound like if you were to listen to it. And there's a bunch of sound effects, and of course that guy's voice rolling on the tape. Number 9, number 9, number 9.
Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number...
And you know, John would come in going, right.
Morning, Paul. Good morning, Rich. I've got a feeling. I feel everybody had a good time. Oh, yeah.
It's the only band I can recall where every song they made, even if it wasn't a hit, it still could be a hit. Because they just play and write and sing so well.
At the end of Let It Be was such an unhappy record, really, even though there's some great songs on it. I really thought that was the end of the Beatles, and I thought I would never work with them again. And I thought, what a shame to go out there like this. So I was quite surprised when Paul rang me up and said, we're going to make another record. Would you like to produce it?
The final album was Abbey Road, and in my opinion, I think it's one of the best albums they've made.
Will they ever team up again?
It's quite possible, yes. I don't know why the hell we'd do it, but it's possible. Would you like that to happen? If it happens, I'll enjoy it.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Good evening. If you've been anywhere near a television set or a radio these past few hours, you already know that John Lennon of the Beatles is dead. He was shot late this evening in front of his apartment building in New York City. Apparently, he was killed almost immediately. The man who shot John Lennon walked up to the musician as he was leaving his limousine. According to eyewitnesses, he said, "Mr. Lennon," and then fired at him point blank at least 5 times. Standing by now in New York with more details is ABC's Lynn Sherman.
It's one of the saddest things ever in recent music history.
Love is real. Real is love.
In a way, they somehow did get back together. It took 25 years, but in the end, they managed to make a few new songs. And that's one of the great things about that reunion. The reason why I think the Beatles are still really popular after all these years, after 5 decades, wow, is because they've made very good music, and they've created songs that will last for generations to come, in my opinion. Because I don't think there's any bad messages in these songs, you know. Like, if you listen to all the songs, it's never really any depressing or, you know, horrible songs, really. You know, it's a very good spirit behind all of them. I love it. All of it.